Okay. Well, hello everybody. Hello everybody. A couple months ago, Martijn asked me if I wanted to do a talk for GrunnJS, and I think I was a bit moody, and I think I just yelled 2 words at him: Karma, webpack. So I want to start off with like actually changing the name, because like while like coming up with the whole presentation, I noticed that like just showing Karma and webpack isn't really that helpful, in my opinion. So instead, I'm going to call it testing modern-day JavaScript applications. Oh, and by the way, this was my first explosion in keynotes. I'm really.
I didn't see it. Do it again.
Do it again.
What?
Yeah. So yeah, this keynote thing is a whole like it's great.
What's up, browser?
So why do I want to talk about testing modern-day JavaScript applications? Well, mainly because this is something we've been struggling at HackerOne. I've been working on the JavaScript test environment at HackerOne like on and off for a couple of years now. And yeah, I think it was a good time now to talk about the things we noticed in our own code base and the things we're doing to make it better. First, let me start with a little introduction. My name is Remon, Oldenbeuving. This is my Twitter. This is my GitHub. I'm a software engineer at HackerOne. I've been working at HackerOne for almost 3 years now. Here's the proof. 2012. It's a long time ago. So that's me. Back to the talk. Testing modern-day JavaScript applications. Last couple of weeks, I've been revamping our JS test setup because, like, we were noticing some big troubles with our testing environment, and we wanted to fix them. So one day, I just like while writing my presentation, I said to myself, writing front-end tests should be as obvious as writing back-end tests. So, I made it a quote, make it look fancy. I wanted to be, I was hoping to be the first one to do this tonight, but you already quoted yourself, so lame now. But yeah, so a couple of months, maybe like probably a year and a half ago, we kept on hearing this term called Web 2.0. It's like really cool. So we were like, oh, maybe we should move more of our application to JavaScript. Right, so it's like way cooler because everybody's doing it. So we started doing just that. We moved to Backbone first, started moving pages to Backbone. Later, we did the same thing with React. So we moved our Backbone to React and moved more pages to React. But it wasn't long before we noticed a trend. So right here you see the console, the output of our backend test over here and our JavaScript test over here. And as you see, these numbers, they're like way off. Especially when you see that these tests cover around 29,000 lines of code Ruby, and these tests cover around 20,000 lines of code CoffeeScript. So even though that's like the ratio CoffeeScript Ruby is like 2/3, like this is like 1/10. So what happened? So, like immediately, let me start with saying that I'm not completely sure yet why this happened. Like, what's going on? Like, I have a couple of ideas in my head which I put here, but I'm still not sure if that's the whole problem. But okay, first off, it's harder to write good JavaScript tests. It feels like the JavaScript testing environment is like way younger, like the JavaScript testing culture. Which makes it hard. Another thing that makes it harder, in my opinion, is that like backend tests are really simple. They start at a point and they test for a return value. But with JavaScript, you actually have continuous interactions with your page, which makes it harder to test because you have like you want to do one interaction, then you want to do another interaction, then you want to see what happens. I think that makes a difference. Another thing is culture, and this is culture in HackerOne. Like we noticed that every time you create a div and you change something in the backend, people are immediately wondering like, hey, where's the test? Did we change the test? Did we implement the new test? But for some reason, this didn't happen with the front end. Like people kept on changing things in the front end and kept on deleting tests in the back end, but the test didn't reappear in the front end. So that's a problem. Another problem is that at HackerOne, all our objects are stored on the global scope. So we don't use any modules. We store everything on window dot, which makes it really hard to scope out your test. Because like if you want to mock something, you have to like unmock it after running your test, because otherwise it will still be mocked in the following test. And this happened actually quite a lot, where we have like one test failing on the CI, but not failing locally, because like the CI is a Unix machine which runs the files in a different order, and there was one file that didn't unmock something, and everything breaks, and you like there goes another day. Another problem, it's slow. So if you look at the output of the test, we run around 5,000 Ruby specs in 6.5 minutes, and we run 500 JavaScript tests in 2 minutes. So it's not really like it's not that big of a problem. So that's why the question mark is there.
Is this because you have a DOM, or is because JavaScript isn't slower than Ruby, right?
Yeah, I think it has to do with the DOM. It has to do with the like the implementation, like Phantom.js, which talks to a browser, which tries to be a browser, and I think it also has to do with our test runner in Rails, which like I think there's some it's really slow for some reason. I don't know. So this was my feeling, like every time a regression happened in our JavaScript, this was the feeling I got. Like it would be really awesome if people could start writing tests. Especially like the last couple of weeks, where we've been refactoring a major part of our application, and like with every refactor, another regression showed up. So something needs to change. But what? Well, first let me give you a bit of insight at where we're at right now at HackerOne, what the current testing environment looks like. So like I said, everything is defined on the window. We use Mocha, which is a testing framework to test our JavaScript. We use Synon to do spying / stubbing mocking, and we use Chai to do expectations. I think these three are like the most mainstream JavaScript testing frameworks out there right now. You could do like you could replace Mocha with QUnit, I think, or Jasmine, but like that's whatever you want. Next to that, we use Teaspoon to run our JavaScript tests in a Rails environment. So this is where we are. Where do we want to go from here? What do we want to change? So personally, I really would love to use modules in our JavaScript, because this makes it really easy to find dependencies, to see which file depends on what other file, and it makes testing easier as well, in my opinion. Another thing I want to do is split away from Rails. Yeah, splitting from Rails. This is a bit of it's more of an opinion I have. That's not really. It's not that important. I think it's not an important of an issue. You can stay with Rails if you want to, but our JavaScript really doesn't need Rails. And like using Rails for a JavaScript environment makes it really slow, because like if you want to update a plugin, you have to update a gem, which updates a plugin, and it's all a bit harder if you use it in Rails. Plus, Rails startup time is just pretty slow. Another thing I would really love to do is sauce labs. So, like Niels showed, like every browser behaves differently, and that's why I would want to run our JavaScript tests in multiple browsers instead of only like one browser. Another great thing about modules is that it would make it easier for us to mock out dependencies. So because you know which component depends on other components, you can easily mock out those components in order for your test to stay nice encapsulated. So what I did was like go see what the main options are out there, and just like start comparing them with each other. So if we look at modules, in my opinion, there are like two major module systems for JavaScript: Browserify and Webpack. Now again, let's all just forget the original name and start with the new name, which is Testing JavaScript, Modern JavaScript apps. Browserify The difference with Browserify and Webpack is that Browserify uses a more modular approach, which is funny because it's a module system. But basically, this means that for Browserify, in order for Browserify to work, you have to add a lot of plugins, and for everything you want, there's a Browserify plugin. Browserify is really popular, so like most of the times you'll find that the plugin is already there. Webpack, on the other hand, is different in that it tries to be like one big, giant thing that does everything you want. So Webpack has hot reloading, it has something to watch for changes, it has all the things you want. Plus, Webpack automatically supports bundling all assets. So you can actually depend on style sheets from your JavaScript files. I'm not really sure how happy I am with that. It sounds really funky.
Great.
Yeah, but on the other hand, like it makes sense for us because we use React, and React already defines the HTML in JavaScript. So I would say that like if you have like a nice clear component, it would make sense to just have that component depend on the style sheet of that component. But again, I'm not really sure if this is good. For now, I'm just going to leave it be, and maybe at some point in the future I'll check it out. So let's just look at Browserify and Webpack and take an example: the mocking of modules, which I think is an important part of the of our wanted application. So by mocking modules, it's like you will have an easy way to scope out your tests. So you can actually say like, okay, this test is only about this module, and all the other modules can be mocked out. It could help with keeping the DOM of the test suite clean. This is actually really specific to our case. I think we have a component which renders something in the body, in the main body element. And what we noticed is that like every time you run a test suite, like the whole body of the test suite is full with divs, which still have event handlers bound and stuff like that. So that's not really clean. So those kind of modules are the ones that you want to mock out, in my opinion. Where to stop with mocking your components in your test? This is actually a question I still have, and I'm still not sure what the right answer is here. Some JavaScript testing frameworks out there are called unit testing frameworks. Some are integration testing frameworks. Like Jest, Facebook's unit testing framework, automatically mocks every external dependency. I'm not sure if that's the way to go, because like with unit tests, it's really hard to say. Like you can have all your unit tests succeeding, but like if the two components don't communicate the way you think they communicate, it's still broken. So I'm not quite sure where to stop with with mocking out components. So for now, I'm just going to use it for cases like this, and cases where it would like really obfuscate my test suite if I wanted to render all components out. So how can you mock components in Browserify? There's a plugin called Proxy Queryify. Like really, how do you come up with this name? The trend for Browserify plugins is to add ify to the plugin name, but how you come up with proxy quire, I don't know. Well, I do know, but I'm not sure why you think it's good. So this is basically how you do. You have a component which requires link, and in your test file you require proxy queryify. You pass along the require method, and basically it overrides things in the require method so that it works differently. Following with that, you have like a list of stubs. So in this case, you say that link should actually do something else. So I just stub it with an empty function, but this can be anything you want. And then instead of requiring the proxy, the component in your test, you do a proxy quire, and as a second argument, you pass along the stub. This will make that like link will be the empty method in your test, and like outside of your test, it will just require the link. Same thing can be done for Webpack, but with a plugin called Rewire, like way better name, of course. With the only problem that that like Rewire and Require look a lot alike. So it's like really hard to notice in your code base like if something is rewired or not. And instead of like passing along the mocks, you can actually call .__set, and this will set that variable inside the scope. And Rewire is does a lot more than just setting. You can also get private variables from your component, like from that file. So it's a little bit more funky. It does something with eval in a really weird way, but it works. So like looking back at like Webpack and Browserify, in my opinion, they both are like really equal. They're really much alike, and you can pick any one you like. I'm kind of biased because I started with Browserify for an open source project once, and I was running into some issues, and then out of nowhere someone came. I don't know, maybe he was working for Webpack, but he created a pull request and moved everything to Webpack, and he said now everything works. I landed the pull request, and I've been happy since. So since that moment, I've been using Webpack, and I'm still happy. Test runners. These are the 4 test runners I looked into. So basically, like JavaScript is pretty different than Ruby or like whatever I know in that case. That it's like in Ruby you have like RSpec and mini-test, and they're like the test runner, the test framework, the expectation framework. It's all the same thing. And with JavaScript, the test runner is a separate project. The test framework is a separate project. The expectation library is sometimes a separate project. So test runners are just run tests in a certain environment. So these are the 4 I looked into: Zool, Mocha, Karma, and Jest. Start with Zool. Well, I think it's really funny that if you build like a test code in your architecture, Zool is failing. I looked into the test results to see why it was failing, and I didn't really see like there were a lot of lines that said things, but it didn't really make sense to me. So I think that's not really good. But other than that, Zool is really good. It's really it's really easy to set up, mainly because it tries to do a conventional configuration type of setup. So Zool comes out of the box with PhantomES, which you can also really easily run your tests in a separate browser on a separate service. The only problem for me with Zool is that it's like really young, and the community is not that there are not that many people working on it. Mocha. Mocha is a test framework. Like I said, we still use it, but it also comes with a CLI. So the CLI runs tests inside of Node.js. So in order to run browser tests in Mocha, you're required to run JS DOM, which is a fake browser implementation in Mocha.
Why can Mocha in the browser? You can run
Mocha
in the browser.
Yeah, you can also run Mocha in the browser, but you'll you can load it, right? You can create your own web page. So in order to make it a runner, you'll have to like install Mocha PhantomES, for instance, which needs a certain web page that you need to include. I looked into it. It is possible, but like that's the whole point of a runner. Like everything I'm doing there, that's the whole point of a runner. So that's why I stopped looking at some point. Because mainly, like the main thing we're trying to achieve here is that CI can run it, right? So that was where I got stuck. So yeah, the command line tool doesn't run on Sauce Labs. Like if you run the browser version, you can run it on Sauce Lab, of course. So just the CLI is a little.
You can also run the browser version in your PhantomJS. You can run the browser version in your PhantomJS.
Yeah, that's with the Mocha PhantomES. Right?
Yeah, so you don't actually have to depend on JS DOM to test your DOM and run your test.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, that's So the JS DOM is purely needed if you want to run it in the Node environment. Yeah, Mocha is compatible with running in browsers, obviously, because like all these other test runners that I tried, they support Mocha. So Karma supports Mocha. But like the main reason why I didn't do that was because I was looking for a test runner, and like with Mocha you can write your own test runner, of course. That's like that was like it would live in our own code base. Another thing, Karma is created by the Angular team, so it has a pretty strong community. Angular has a pretty strong community, and Karma as well. It's modular, like Browserify. So every plugin, like every feature of Karma that you want, it's in a plugin somewhere. And really, like every time I looked something up for Karma right until this point, I could find like a working plugin for the feature I need. Then there's Jest. Jest is created by Facebook. It's used by React. It's used by Facebook as well. It does magic mocking of external dependencies. So as long as you don't say that it shouldn't mock that dependency, it will automatically mock it. You have no choice in framework, so Jest comes with Jasmine fried in. The creator of Jest once said that he wanted to make it possible to use Mocha as well, but like, I don't know, he's not really actively working on Jest. Jest runs tests in parallel because it also runs in a node environment with JS DOM. So it's really fast, and it also really scales up well if you have like multiple CPU units. But you know, because it's a node environment and it only runs on JS DOM, it has there's no support for salsa. So let's all act surprised. I picked Karma and Webpack. So like I said, Webpack is really like you can pick whatever you want. If you want to go with Browserify, you should definitely go with Browserify. If you want to go with Webpack, stick with Webpack. If you want to go with require.es, you probably should just stop. I don't know. So what are the pros of using Karma and Webpack together? It's probably the most mainstream approach. This is like one of the first times that this happened to me, that I was like that the choice I made was actually probably the mainstream thing to do. Most of the time I find something that's like really, really exotic and I'm like, yeah man, that's what we need. This time it was pretty good. Two powerful communities. A big con is that you either have to run all your tests all the time. So if you just want to run one test, you actually have to run all of them, or you have to create a separate bundle for every test that you run. But like creating a separate bundle for every test that you run, that's like really slow if you're like requiring React in every test that you run, for instance. Like every bundle will be really big. So we go with the first approach where we have like one big file which runs all tests. But I am pretty positive that I can find a way to fix that.
So you run all your testing on one DOM? Or do you refresh the?
No, I think the DOM is refreshed. I think Karma actually runs the test in iframes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but the main problem is that like for instance with Mocha you can say like I just want to run this test file, and with Karma Webpack you can't do that. I can show it in the demo why that won't work. Like maybe it's time for a demo. First off, like, are there any questions like until this point from the presentation or suggestions or?
Well, I was just wondering, why don't you split your unit testing and your sort of acceptance testing? I mean, you can run tests against all your JavaScript functions and do it in whatever, do it in Node, and don't have to deal with the DOM at all. And if you want to run acceptance tests, you can use WebDriver, Selenium,
right,
and direct that with whatever language or library you want.
Right.
And support source labs. I mean, it's WebDriver.
Yeah. Yeah. So we do run acceptance tests. I think we have like 400 scenarios, Cucumber scenarios running every change. But like I think I'm kind of biased here because when we started off with our Rails app, we wrote a lot of unit tests. And at some point we were like, okay, these unit tests, they don't make any sense. They're really fast, which is cool, but they don't really test anything. Like code still breaks. So we started moving to integration specs, which is like it tests more integration, but it's still not an acceptance test because an acceptance test is really slow. So I think I'm kind of looking for something similar for JavaScript, where I think that like really you doing unit tests in JavaScript is really fast, but not really helpful. But like testing all the features that we want to test in an acceptance test is too slow. So I'm looking in like if there's like a middle road somewhere. Yeah. So there are dedicated integration, like Angular has a dedicated integration test runner for JavaScript, which could be interesting. But I'm still thinking that we could pull it off with our current setup as well.
As you're testing React code, why don't you just run it all in Node against the virtual DOM?
So our components aren't written with server-side rendering kept in mind. So I'm not sure if that will work. The main problem I'll see right now is the supporting of Ajax calls. So, but also like I tried running our tests in JSDOM on Node, and JSDOM is pretty shitty. It's not shitty as in like it's bad, but it's like not fully feature complete.
You're really on the edge of what DOM can do with the React stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's always going to be.
Yeah, but like the next version of React is going to be different because they're actually gonna separate the rendering. They're actually going to separate the rendering from the yeah. So like with the React Native and stuff kept in mind, like the next version of React actually has like it won't render anything in JavaScript. It will just pretend like it renders something. So I'm not sure how that will work. But yeah, I'm not sure if that will work for us. Like from what I've seen so far, it's like really hard to like you're running in all these kind of issues that don't really have to do anything with your app. It's not that you've broken something. It's just that like JSDOM doesn't do what you want it to do. Cool. I'll do a quick demo. I don't know what time I'm. Oh yeah, still. Cool. So all these, like I created two packages for testing. One is the Coffee React Karma Webpack PhantomJS. I tried to put as much names in there as possible. The other is Coffee React Rule Webpack PhantomJS. So basically, it's like me trying to create an environment which looks a lot like our code base without actually doing it inside of our code base. So it's like we can just really quickly check if it would work in the ideal case. Where's my mouse? So when you start your Karma project and you run Karma init, it will actually come up with a karma.conf file. Just a minute. This? Yeah. So up here you see all the default stuff for Karma. So you say that Karma uses the frameworks Mocha, Chai, and Cinnamon, which like makes them magically available in your test. So up here you would have like a glob which finds all your test files. But because we're doing this with Webpack, we only link it to one file, which is the index.copy. And up here we pretend that like there are multiple files, but basically this could have just read test index.copy. And it tells the Karma to run the Webpack preprocessor for that file. Right here you see that we include the Webpack config, which we required in the top in our Karma file. And really there's just a basic reporter which reports with progress, and there's a JSON reporter which we need for our own tool set for our like our unit test reports in our dev environment. Well, the other stuff is just basic stuff. Right here you have a list of browsers. Right now we only have PhantomJS, but it's really easy to add Chrome here. Or if you want to use Sauce Labs, you can just create a separate browser for a Sauce Lab Chrome, for instance, and you can just put it here and everything will be run there. So that's the basic Karma input. Webpack is really simple to set up. So here you see all the things that we need in order for Coffee to work. One tip, if you're like working with CoffeeScript, or if you're still working with JavaScript and you think like, oh, CoffeeScript, that's cool. Don't. Coffee JSX, that's like really a bad idea in my opinion. Because Coffee ASX depends on Coffee React, and Coffee React depends on Coffee React Transform, and Coffee React Transform depends on another, and like all their version numbers are way off, and like when like the end node upgrades, it takes a long while before you have all the changes. But you know what? We needed it, so we took it. Right here you say that you want to include Rewire in your test suite. Let's go to the interesting stuff. So right here, this is the index coffee that we linked in the Karma file, and this is the only file that's being run in Karma all the times. And what you see here, this is some Webpack magic, where it's actually requiring all the files in the current directory which end with _spec. Yeah, it's like every time you look at this code, you're probably wondering what's it doing, but like this is it. The reason this was needed, the reason this is needed this way is that Karma doesn't support like arguments, like command line arguments. So the reason, a way to fix this, to make it able to run only one test, would be to have a check here if like a command line argument is passed, and then only require that file instead of all the files. But like that's only something that's still built yet. So if we go to component spec, so I wrote one simple spec here. What you see here is that I require rewire, which is like fun, rewire. I require the mock component method, which I abstracted, which like looks a bit prettier than the __set __. And basically here you say component is rewire source component and then mock component link. So this is a method I made myself in order to make it work a bit more like we wanted to work in our own code base. And basically this just has like one clear, one empty React class, and then it overrides it with the __set like I showed in the presentation. That's it. Oh, bind polyfills, probably seen it a couple of times now. That's needed because FentonJS in JavaScript still is FentonJS 1.9, and 1.9 doesn't have support for the bind.
FentonJS 2 works.
Yeah, FentonJS 2 works, but FentonJS 2 can't be installed through the npm package yet. Okay, that's nice. I'm still looking at an issue that says like there's a way to find the binary for 2.0, but that's not found on my computer for some reason.
No, I think you have to npm install FentonJS 2.
Oh,
somebody else that package.
That sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. So yeah, that's basically the main like how you set up Mocha, Karma, what else is in the name? Coffee, React, Webpack, and FentonJS. So are there any questions on this demo? No questions. Then, oh wait, I have something. No questions. Oh, that's my presentation.